Thank you, Dr. Dinesh Puju. Respected chair or high-level dignitaries, a keynote speaker, and their participants, I would like to say namaste to everyone. Actually, there were 12 eminent speakers, including opening remarks, introduction, keynote, and reflections. When I heard about 4 presentations, I thought I will not be able to summarize it because there were several ideas, and each one of them, in my opinion, was so important, and I thought that should not be excluded in my summary. Then in my analysis, I thought if I will do that, then it will not be a summary. So that was a big challenge to me. And then after hearing 4 presentations, I quickly jotted down few important headings under which these presentations were focusing. Then I tried myself, tried my best to put some of the important points that has come under these presentations and reflections under these different headings, and I have tried to summarize them in bullet points. And I have not tried to summarize who said what, but I have tried to summarize from all these presentations and reflections what has come that I can present in bullet points. That's what I have tried. So in that effort, I must now beg a kind of pardon or say, please forgive me if I have missed either or not correctly summarize what you have presented. So please forgive me for that. Because it was very difficult for me to jot down all these points and then prepare a summary. So in the summary, let me start with the theme for this International Mountain Day today for 2020 is protecting mountain biodiversity. And we are all aiming to enhance understanding of the threat to biodiversity in the mountain. So in the introductory paper, it was very nicely presented and emphasized the importance of mountain in the context of COVID-19. Now, my second heading I have found important is the mountain coverage. From our presentations, what has come is there was a very good highlight given in the introduction and even in our keynote speakers presentation about what is mountain. It was very nicely defined, and it was also presented that mountain covers almost 1/5 of the global land area, continental land area. And many countries have mountains. In terms of value, what came in the presentation and discussion is mountains are important for water, so can be treated as water towers, and therefore not only for water, also for clean air. Their value is also with biodiversity, and in the presentation we found half of the world's biodiversity hotspots are concentrated in the mountains. Mountains are great gene pool for agriculture crops, livestock, medicinal, aromatic, and dye plants. It's a great gene pool. And also, we heard it's a home to almost 1/3 of the plant species mountain. So, and also in terms of cultural and ethno-linguistic diversity also, mountains are very important. In terms of water, mountains are important for also supplying regular renewable energy through hydropower generation. And mountains provide opportunities for recreation and tourism. And it also in one of the presentation I found, it also regulates the impact of extreme climatic events. And in another paper reflection, I found mountains are sources of income for communities, mainly through agriculture, forestry, tourism, and agroforestry and tourism-based enterprises. In another heading I have found in the presentation is mountain ecosystem is degrading. It was presented like there is a loss of habitat and degradation of habitat of the mountain ecosystem. There are several factors like unsustainable farming practices. In one, I think it was also mentioned there is mining, logging, poaching, and land use and land use changes because of several other human needs. And it was also presented in a conclusive kind of presentation saying these degrading factors are there and they are further aggravated by climate change in the recent decades. It was also somehow emphasized that there are various other reasons also that include loss of livelihood opportunities, and there has been migration in the mountains that has already taken place, due to which in many areas several forest and agricultural lands have been already abandoned, and that has already affected our traditional practice of sustaining biodiversity for generations. Regarding now threats, there was in several papers, it was presented in several ways, but I have tried to summarize it in terms of the threats are especially water scarcity, environmental degradation, including soil erosion, food insecurity in one way or the other, a kind of poverty, unwanted migration, some kind of cultural erosion, natural disasters, again, all being further aggravated by climate change. Another heading I found important in the presentation and reflections was challenges now, how to then manage our mountain ecosystem. In terms of mountain ecosystem, it was somehow reflected that it's fragile. There has been a huge loss of natural areas due to land use changes, and they are coming from human activities like settlements, tourism, agricultural land use changes, infrastructure, kind of those things. And there were increasing problems highlighted, problems like solid waste management, air, water, and soil pollution. On the whole, a big challenge was climate change, which is resulting into degrading mountain ecosystems, extreme precipitation, droughts, receding of snows, drying up water sources. And it was also emphasized very interestingly that there is a main mountain and monsoon interaction, which needs to be understood correctly if we really want to live in the mountain and manage our mountain. Now, regarding pandemic impact on mountain, it was clearly mentioned that because of pandemic, there has been decreased travel, restricted travel, decreased movement, decreased tourism, which has, on the other hand, contributed to clean environment. And human activities on the mountain were also reduced in that sense. But the impact has also, forced some of the people to come back home. And they have now started, because of the more people coming back home, there is increased demand for food. That means there is increased food insecurity in the mountain areas because of that. So that means those abandoned land, because of migration earlier, is also somehow being utilized for food production. That's an opportunity kind of thing we have seen. On the other hand, we have also seen because of this, there is increased pressure on mountain biodiversity. So people are trying to grab more land, deforestation, illegal mining, and wildlife poaching. We have, even in Nepal, we have read some of this in the newspaper. As an opportunity, some of the in the reflections and presentations, some important points came, like now there is opportunity to do a good research on solid waste management, how to recycle them, reduce contamination of water, air, pollution, and also conservation of indigenous crops, breeds, practices, so that they are time-tested practices, and that can really contribute during this pandemic period also. And some opportunities have also come up in the presentation, like it has been proven there are several medicinal herbs in Nepal or in the mountain areas which were very good, found very good even for the prevention or even minimizing the impact of COVID during that period. So these were few challenges we have seen, and there has been conservation efforts being made, and it was so nicely presented that these threats, these challenges, and all are because people are affected, and it's the people who have become vulnerable, not the nature. So that means in the conservation efforts, there are several efforts being made. I somehow found a paper saying, reflection saying, there has been some protected area approach being taken. So how to protect mountain, it has to be considered like that. Climate change has impact will have to be mitigated and some adaptation measures taken. There are indigenous people, marginalized people in the mountain areas whose roles and livelihoods should be recognized. There should be inclusive approach in nature conservation taken. And it should be all supported by national policies, regulations. In fact, some are already in place, and some reflection said there are few more new will need to be formulated and implemented. I think these were the major things that came up in the presentation and reflections. I'm afraid if I was able to capture all, but as I said earlier, it was very difficult for me to summarize who said what and conclude on every presentation. But from what has been presented and reflections given by those eminent speakers, this is what I found. And if it is really required, I can type it and then send it to the organizers. I would really like to thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to be a part in the program and summarize. I feel very proud also to be recognized as a summarizer for such a experienced speakers presentations in a short time. Thank you, Dr. Boju. I hope these few points will be helpful. Thank you very much.